history lesson. I'm just going to share what I've learned, and I feel like we should all know this. I know there are people out there who are curious like me, and I found out the answers, so I'm going to share it so that you don't have to read. I have always wondered why Africa is the most resourceful continent in the world, but it is also the poorest continent in the world. That doesn't make sense to me. The maths isn't adding up. So I started reading this book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I am 3/4 through the book, and with critical thinking, I have come to a slight conclusion, and it's very clear. So I'm going to explain it. Now, where do I start? There's so much to unpack. Okay, so when Europe, we're going to call them they. Okay, so we are going to call them they. When they came to Africa, the only people that they were taking, stealing for slavery were people. We are going to use the term they. When they came to Africa, they only came for a certain type of person. From the ages 14 all the way to 35. If you were a little bit older and healthy, they're taking you. And that's what they did. They took all the young, able-bodied people from Africa, stole, brought them back to Europe, and sold them. The money that they made from selling our people, the work that our people did to build their economy, they reinvested into their economy and put it towards philosophers, creatives, innovators, scientists. And in the span of 10 years, they came up with 2,000 inventions. Now, what was happening in Africa at this time? We're struggling. All the young people that we have that are able to come up with new ideas, that are able to work the land, and in those times, we needed farmers, we needed builders, we needed handy people. They're taking them all. If you were handy, you were in Europe, slaving away. And so what happens in Africa is our resources aren't being used because we don't have the power, the manpower to use these resources. We also don't have young, innovative thinkers to come up with inventions to help us. Things like a truck. We don't have those free thinkers. We don't have the money to create innovators, but they do because they, This is heavy. This is heavy. When I read this, I felt this. This is quite deep. Now, that's deep, but to add to this issue, I need you to understand the gravity. Now, so that information is a lot, but here's the nail in the coffin. Now, that information is a lot, but here is the nail in the coffin. They were taking so many people from our precious land that there is some research in that book, and it shows a span of 300 years and the population of Africa each 100 years that passed, the population of Europe and the population of Asia and America. The population of Africa in 300 years stayed the same. Do you understand how many people you have to kill, take, for a population to not grow? Meanwhile, their population was growing by 100 mil every 100 years. Something along those lines. It was growing by ridiculous numbers, but Africa wasn't growing. Yeah. That's crazy.